Hi again. Now in this video, I'm going to show you how to actually submit your work. So we're going to look at one exercise. I will not give you the solution. I'll just put some dummy code in there so that it looks like it's actually solved, and then I'm going to submit that work. Now for that to happen, it means that you have PyCharm installed and your PyCharm has Python already installed. You have Git installed and you have a GitHub account, and you know how to configure your PyCharm to work with all these tools. So that is number one. If you don't have that already considered, go back to the getting started video. Make sure that you're set up correctly, because without that, none of this is going to work. Now, what I'm going to do is my PyCharm is already set up. So I'm going to open a new project. Since I'm beginning from scratch, I'm just going to call this my 30-day talk challenge. So I've created a repository. Then I want to say that I want this to be a Git repository. I don't want a welcome script. I'm going to show how to create an active script. In my case, I have Python 3.1.114 installed, and I'm using project VN. That's going to keep track of the local Python associated with this project. And then I'm going to click on create, and the directory is not empty. So I actually do have an already existing project. So I just say, I'm going to open the project so that you can actually see what it looks like. So I'll open that in a new window, and that opens in another. So here you can see exercises that I've already done, just as a sample. And for each of these exercises, I've written some code. So these are examples of what they look like. Now, make sure that your code will always follow this template. The template has got an import sys at the top, your def main at the middle, and then you have an import guard at the bottom. If you don't know what these are, go back to the book and look through the starting section. It gives you an explanation about all these things. Now, I have also included at the top a description of the exercise, because it's useful for me whenever I'm marking these exercises. I want to know which exercise this is, and I don't want to keep going back and forth. So what I'm going to do now, so let's say I use this one as example. I have a username. I have some comments which are written throughout, and I have some tests that I'm running just to make sure that this works correctly. Now, even if you don't know how to do this, I'm not expecting you to write code that looks like this right from the beginning. What I expect to see is that you're thinking through how to solve the problem and how the problem can go wrong. That's very important. Okay, so suppose this is what I wanted to submit. This is exercise 1. I have committed it. Let's just show you. I'll do an exercise 2 so that you can actually see what that looks like. I'm going to copy this code and I'm going to paste that into the exercise 2. So how do I make a new module? Everything, all your files will be within this folder. So within this folder, I can say new Python file, and I'm going to now call it exercise 2. And I don't have to put the .py, it automatically does that for you. It's going to ask you, do you want to add the file to Git? You say yes. You always want to add the file to Git because that's how we'll track it. Now, suppose this was the solution to exercise 2. It is not. Then let's then see how we'll actually submit this. So suppose I'm happy with the code the way it is. I need to commit it. So I'll come to Git and I can say commit, and it's going to ask me for a message, and I'll say completed exercise 2, and I'm going to commit. Now, I don't really know if this is already, if I have a GitHub repository. If you haven't, the first thing you need to do is share this project on GitHub. So let's see. I don't think I've shared this on GitHub yet, but it's checking. Now, the most important thing for me to see your code will be you have to uncheck private. If you don't uncheck private, then I'll never be able to see your code. And the process of you having a private repository with someone else having access to your code is so much harder. It's far easier to just make it a public project. So that's what you'll do, and I'm going to click on share. So you can see it's pushing my code to GitHub. And if I click on this here at the top, the notification, it says I successfully shared the project on GitHub, and it shows me the link. If I click on that, then now it takes me to that repository. And now this is where it gets, this is where it becomes relevant. So if I click on exercise 2 is here, and it's a public project. You see there is no private tag here. I'm going to take that link and I'm going to copy that link. Now I'll go back to the classwork. I'll look for exercise 2. Okay, and then I'll go to view instructions, and now I'm going to add or create. I'll say I'll create a link. I'll create a link, and I'll put the link to that work, and I'm going to say add link. So it's going to add the link, and then I'll say, then I can say hand in. So now when I say hand in, it says hand in your work, and you say hand in. So now that work has been handed in, if I go back to this page and I look at classwork and look at view your work, now we go all the way to the bottom, we'll see that exercise 2 is handed in. So that's the view that you get, and that's all you need to care about. Now, typically what I'll do is I will then go in and mark your work. I'll have a look at your work, and then I'll click on that, and I'll say people, and I'll look at your work. So for example, I click here and it shows me that you have handed in one exercise. So let's go all the way till the bottom. I think we can choose handed in just to make life easy. So now I can see your work, and then I'm going to score your work. So it's going to show me what your work looks like. I'll look at the details. And then I'm going to click on this. I'll look at your code. So it's going to take me to the link. I'll see your code. I'll say, this looks good. This is a very good attempt. And then I'm going to score it. I'm going to give you 1 mark for that if you follow the template. If you've got meaningful names, I'll give you 1 mark. If you've got helpful documentation, 1 mark. If you've got run without errors, 1 mark. If you don't like what you've done here, I'll give you 0.5. And I'm going to write some notes at the bottom here. I'll say notes. And then I'll keep scoring. I have 1 mark, for example, and here I think you have not used the right type, 0.2, and so on and so forth. And then in the end, you're going to have a total score. So the score in this case is 8.7. I'll send you your comment. You'll receive your comment. So if you look now, you'll find there is a comment from, you see it shows a little icon there. And then I'm going to return the work to you. You'll probably get an email. I'm not sure about that. So I'll say return. And now if you look at your returned, you can see your work has been returned. There's a private comment, notes. And I look at the details. It'll tell you, once it refreshes, I think this needs to refresh. I don't think yeah, there we go. So now it shows that you've got 8.7. and it shows you the marks for everything. So here you've got a 0.5 and so on and so forth. These comments are going to help you improve from week to week. So ideally, I don't want to see the same mistake being made from week to week. Now, just be aware, I will not mark everything because you'll have diminishing returns. At a certain point, the corrections I'll give you, if I see something that's repeatedly being done, then wrong, then I'm going to correct that. But typically what I'll do is for the first week where you're the greenest, that's when I'm going to give you a lot of comments, a lot of feedback. In the second week, that's going to go down. So maybe 4 days or 3 days. And then from the third week, again, 4 days or 3 days. And then after that, I would expect you to now pick up momentum. But I will be looking at your work just to make sure that you're doing the right things. So that's how you actually hand in work. That's how you submit it. You make sure you use, if I just come to PyCharm here again, this is how the work looked like. This will also help you get familiar with PyCharm. The more you do in PyCharm, the more you'll become comfortable in PyCharm, because this is a tool that I think you should spend a lot of time in. And then by the end of the exercises, this will be second nature to you. The template will be second nature to you. And now you'll just focus on solving the problem, because just giving you 5 problems is not going to be enough. But giving you 100 problems is really going to sharpen you. So that's it for this video on how to actually submit your work. If anything is not clear, please send me a message and then I'm going to give you a response. Thank you and bye and happy learning.